To get started, click Create and choose 3D Design. Then go to the upper left and change the name to the name of your assignment, and don't forget to add your first name for your teacher. Select the ruler from the right-hand side and drag it onto the work plane. This will help with measurements. Now go to Settings and make sure that you have everything set in millimeters. It should be your default. Click Close Settings and snap grid to 0.5 millimeters for extra precision. Now drag a solid cylinder to your work plane and set the measurements. You want your width and your depth and your height. Move it aside and now choose a whole cylinder and do the same with the new dimensions. Now you're going to select both and use your Align tool to center them. Once they're centered, you can group them to make your tube. Now you're going to drag a whole cube and make it large so that you can lop off a section of your tube. You can move it with the arrow keys or by dragging. But here's a tip. Dismiss your ruler and drag the ruler back just to the corner of that tube. Now you'll notice that when you select, notice how your dimensions are there, and now you can nudge it over gently with your arrow keys to get just the right dimensions. Once again, select and group. Now to make your screw holes, you're going to start with a cylinder that's a hole and set your dimensions. And you're going to make it pretty tall so that when you rotate it, it's going to go across the full width with a little bit to spare. Now we're changing the perspective to rotate 90 degrees. Sometimes it's easier just to type it. And then we're changing our perspective again and selecting so that you can position the way we've practiced. Now you're beginning to see why we did those tutorials. I use my alignment tools and I'm looking at it from different angles. Different perspectives will make this easier to do. You might drag, you might use your arrow keys. And I'm actually going to start by having this measured from the bottom. Again, that's going to give me more precision. It's harder to measure from the top, so I did it from the bottom, and we'll group it now that I've got my placement correct. And then you're going to select it again and rotate it negative 180 degrees. Or 180, basically you want to flip it. And double check to make sure it's flat on your work plane. You don't want to have it floating. Now we've got it where we want, and we're going to create the next screw, or screw hole I should say. Follow the same process. And rotate as we did before. And place as you did before. And again, this gives you the precision that you need. Notice that I ungrouped the first hole so that I could align the two holes. And once I've got them roughly where I want, I'm looking at it from all different angles. And now I'm going to copy one and paste it, and then double check or triple check my alignment. Get everything in the place where I'd like them, or places I should say. And sometimes it's easiest just to type in your measurement manually rather than to lift and drag. And notice if you try to align everything, it's not going to be quite where you want. So you have to deselect and then do your alignment again. If you shift and click, you can select multiple objects. Okay, and checking again before I group everything. Make sure I have everything where I want. And select and group. Now it's your turn. What other features will you add?